So it's not like action and then they go. It's like we're rolling. The camera is rolling, but I'm already in the moment. So action is I've already started acting.
Okay.
You know, so it starts putting like, well, when do you start the performance or whatever?
Okay.
So.
Okay. Hold on. Let's unwrap that and let's get the cable under the table.
Well, there are those famous stories about great artists, like for example Heath Ledger, that they say that like he was in a room alone trying to get into character, right?
For the Joker.
The Joker.
See.
Was that the last Joker? Wasn't like Hawking or something?
2005, 7, 8?
Yeah, it was a while ago with Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
Yeah, that was his last movie, wasn't it?
The second one. The
Probably
last one was with Tom Hardy, Bane. Remember?
With Tom Hardy? Was that was Joker?
No. I'm saying when Heath Ledger actually was in the second Dark Knight movie, the second one. Remember? Because the third one was with Bane, Tom Hardy. Got
see,
it? Okay.
The guy with the like... See.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
I remember actually I was living in New York when they filmed that, and the bridge that I would take like late at night to go home in a taxi, they filmed a huge sequence on that bridge, and they would shut it down at night, and it would get so fucking annoying because it would take forever to get home because they closed the fucking bridge.
Can they stop filming Batman?
I was like, can you please stop filming Batman so I can go home?
They're always filming Batman.
Do your line.
But then when I saw that clip in the it was super cool.
Isn't that the one that they with the car?
It's like wasn't there like a bus
or some truck that they were like firing rockets to to Batman?
Yep.
Is that it?
Yep.
When they closed the city.
That was crazy to see all that come out, and it's like because it looks like they blew up the fucking bridge, which they did not.
It's like fucking the car blowing up.
The magic of movies.
Which bridge was it?
The first one.
The Queensboro Bridge.
The Queen. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I thought you were saying the movie.
I know.
What movie? He didn't know.
Okay. ¿Hago la intro en español?
No,
in English?
No.
Okay, welcome guys. This is episode 36 of the... Productos increíbles tiene que estar en español. That's the name of the podcast.
Bueno.
Today we have Chris. Do you want to introduce yourself? Talk a little bit about you and what you do?
Sure. Are we ready to go?
I think we are.
Okay. We keep it loose.
Yeah. It's so I should probably have told you about this, but like we do it like it's pretty chill. Like we just hang out and we try like say whatever questions we have in mind. We have some notes. Actually, I would just I know them, but that's it.
That's the mindset.
Hang out. So
bueno.
Let it flow.
I tell people all the time that I always recommend that they take an improvisation class. I probably told you this. I took one when I was in New York acting, and I used to audition for a lot of television commercials.
Okay.
And that's all improv. Like they have some scripts, but they got to this point at one point in that time period when I was auditioning that they were asking the actors to improv during the auditions, and then they sometimes would just take that or they would take the line that you said or like the moment that you brought up, because the actors could kind of not do it better than a writer, but they could catch that. And that was like a trend in New York City in commercial auditioning, and they said you should take an improv class, and I was like, but I'm a trained actor. But I did, and it really helps, and I always tell this to everybody is, life is an improv. We're improving right now. You improv every single day. You never know what's gonna happen when you walk out the door. So life is an improv.
There's like an essence of being in the moment.
So they use that to like steal lines from people.
So there was a big thing about it that they were not just in commercials, but they were doing that in films and things like that. That they were wanting the actors to improv, but then it's like they should get a writing credit as well.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're using their own intellectual property in a sense. I don't remember what they ultimately did with that, but there was a huge
like a struggle.
See, it was like a debate.
But yeah, I think one of the most memorable phrases in movies are the ones that directors didn't read, like the script, right?
What do you mean?
Where they come up with stuff.
Let me say again.
Like on the fly.
One of the most memorable phrases during films happens when the actor just improvises.
Did you watch that movie, the 40-year-old Virgin?
Yeah.
With Steve Carell?
Yeah.
I think I did.
There's a scene where they like wax his chest hair.
Okay.
The insult.
And it was real. They were doing it, and they just let him improv, and so all of that is just him making that shit up. They kept it in the movie.
Jesus Christ.
That's fun. That's fun. All right. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you do, and we I don't know, start like shooting questions at you?
Sure. Well, my name's Chris Roe. I'm not from Uruguay. I know it can get confusing. But I grew up in the States. I'm a communication coach. I'm a public speaking coach. I'm a public speaker myself.
Okay.
I do coaching. I do pitch presentations and pitch competitions and interviews and all different kinds of things. And then also I do hosting at conferences. I do keynote speeches. I do group workshops, online, in person, all of this. But that wasn't really, no, let me rephrase. That was not what I was planning to do with my life.
Okay.
So I back up because I used to live in New York for like 10 years, a little over 10 years. And I moved to New York because I was an actor. So that's my whole background is in acting. But then also I have a lot of experience in directing and producing live events and also storytelling. So the easiest thing to say is I'm a storyteller. Mm-hmm. It's how I've been my whole life. And the last 2 years I was living in New York before the pandemic. I was running a theater company, and that theater company was all about the creation, the development, and the production of brand new plays, brand new stories. And when I was in graduate school studying acting, I studied Shakespeare and all of Shakespeare's contemporaries. So I've learned from Shakespeare to modern writers about storytelling. I always say I'm not a writer, but I know structure. I know poetry. I know like how to really move an audience with words and stories and structure, and how you can get the best bang for your buck. There's an English phrase. But I also used to be an English teacher. I did that on the side. And in 2019, I had an opportunity where a friend of mine, who was an English teaching friend of mine, he introduced me to this German guy that was a co-founder of a huge tech and innovation conference in Munich, Germany. And this guy needed help with a presentation, a live presentation. I've probably told you this story, yeah. And they had to have this presentation memorized in English in front of 7,000 people, because it was like the hello everybody, welcome to the conference. And one of the reasons they were looking for a coach is because part of their introduction of the conference was introducing their keynote speaker, the main speaker of the event. And the main speaker of the event that year was Barack Obama. And I was like, what? Like, what is my life right now? So that's how this all started, is I coached him and then the other two co-founders. And I coached them just like I would an actor and a director, or a director and an actor. I have both of those abilities and that skill. And that's how I worked with these guys, plus the English teaching and accent work that I've done as an actor, understanding clear speech, how you need to move your mouth. And they had a great time working with me, and they had a huge success. And they said, in true entrepreneurial spirit, they said, hey, you're really good at this. You should do more of this. You should start your own coaching business. And so I said yes. And that's how I started doing this.
Nice. Yeah, I guess all that's it's related, right? The English and storytelling are very... And how'd you end up in here, in Uruguay?
In Uruguay. That's another story. I left New York City on December the 28th of 2019. And I was just planning to travel for 5 months. I was traveling, I was teaching in my English classes, and I was building the business, and I was escaping the winter, the New York winter, and also I just know how expensive it is, and so while I was building the business, I was thinking maybe it'll be cheaper to travel all over the world than to live in New York City, which was true. And so I went to Brazil, to Rio for Carnival in 2020. And then on March the 1st of 2020, I landed in Punta del Este. And I came to Montevideo on March the 11th. And on March the 13th, it was a Friday of 2020. I was sitting in, ¿cómo se llama este lugar? Pasivo, something.
Pasiva.
La Pasiva.
I was sitting there eating a chavito. And I remember looking at the TV, and the news said, like, los primeros casos de COVID han detectado aquí en Uruguay. And I was actually in Asia when all of this started. Mm-hmm. And when I got to South America, I thought, I beat it. Like, I escaped. So
didn't you think it was you? Maybe like, oh no, what did I do?
No, it was not me. But because I think I actually got it in Asia, right? Like a month before. I was really sick and I didn't know what I had.
Right. Yeah, nobody knew about it. Like
nobody knew. Well, we kind of did, but like
we kind of didn't know anything.
There was no
like
tests or anything.
A few years later.
But that was my thing. I remember sitting in that restaurant right by the Rambla, and I just remember thinking, "Oh no!" And that was on Friday the 13th. On Sunday, the 15th, I was changing my Airbnb, thinking like, "What am I doing? I didn't know anybody in this country."
Okay.
I was on my way to visit one of my best friends in Buenos Aires, and I was changing Airbnbs on Sunday, March the 15th, and I remember thinking, should I cancel this Airbnb and buy a ticket for the buquebus and go to Argentina so at least I know one person?
Right.
And 5 minutes later, he called me on the phone. He said, "Amigo, ¿cómo estás? Bien, ¿qué tal?" He told me, "You can't come to Argentina." I said, "What? Why?" He said, "They just closed the border." Oh, yeah. And so everything changed. My whole life changed. And there was a woman that was renting my apartment in New York City from me. So I literally couldn't go back. I could have lived in my parents' basement. I could have done that. But I thought I wanted to take that moment to travel the world and have these new experiences. So I thought, well, I guess here's an opportunity.
Forced to network.
So I just stayed. I just stayed in Uruguay, and I ended up staying here for over a year. And I gave up my apartment, and I sold and donated everything I owned, and I've been living like that for over 5.5 years. So that first time I was here for 13 months, and then I've come back every single year, and that's how I got here.
All right.
It's a great adventure. But you started like in hardcore level, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like you enjoyed it, like being here. Maybe you found something that you weren't expecting, like. So was that the time when you like got involved with like all the entrepreneurs and everything, or?
So the other day at the Endeavor Mega, I was talking to Rosana Fernandez from Ingenio.
Okay.
And I was completely alone here in Uruguay for those first couple months, at least the first 6 weeks, I would say. And this super random story. My parents, who live in Indiana in the US, they were talking to their neighbor about, oh my God, our son is stuck in this country in South America we've never heard of before, and we don't know where it is on the map. Like, we're so worried about him. Blah. And their neighbor said, oh, well, one of our really good friends and coworkers is from Uruguay. And they were like, what? And I said to my parents, please put me in contact with this person, because I knew no one. I just rented this little Airbnb en frente de, ¿cómo se llama? Plaza Gomenzoro.
Yeah, Positos.
Sí, en Positos. I was just there. And so they put me in contact with this guy. I called him on the phone. It was my first friend. And he told me about this article that was written, I think, in El País. And it said something like, why there's something like, in the middle of a global pandemic, why Uruguay is the only place I want to be.
Okay.
And it was this article written by a woman named Karen Higgs, She runs a company called Uruguay, which helps people who want to retire in Uruguay or emigrate to Uruguay. And she has she wrote this article, and at the very end of the article there was follow me on Facebook. And she has like a Facebook group, and I clicked on that group and I put hi everybody, I'm Chris, I'm here all by myself, blah 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 blah. And that's how I started making a community. Rosana Fernandez saw the article that Karen wrote later. She did a whole series about people stuck in Uruguay.
Okay.
And she did a story about me and some other people, and that was on the whole back page of El País.
Yeah.
And Rosana Fernandez saw that article and emailed me and said, because it was about my coaching business and everything, and she said, can we bring you into Ingenio? And I did a workshop for them in 2021. That was the very first time I worked in public, because I launched the business from Punta del Este on like March the 3rd of 2020, and then pandemic. So the very first live workshop I ever did in this coaching business was in Latu.
Nice.
So that's how all that started.
Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty good at too. Like
You started in Latu and you were in Latu before, so it's like a cycle.
See. It's good. I have the, how do you call it in Spanish? Like a bucket list. Do you know what this is?
La lista.
What's the
A
concept?
checklist. Like
It's
a
like
to-do list.
like a bucket list are things you want to do in your life before
Okay.
you die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they call it a bucket list. I don't know why.
Yeah, we don't have a name for that.
Throw it in the bucket.
To throw it in the bucket. So I never knew that getting stuck in Uruguay and being interviewed and put in the paper was on my bucket list, but I checked it off.
It was a series of uncoordinated events that turned out really, really good.
100%.
Nice.
We were talking about improv.
Yeah.
I'm writing a whole keynote right now about this whole experience.
Okay.
And it's just about that, about my life as an actor, my life as a nomad, traveling all over the world and building this business. And all the people I work with, founders, ecosystem builders, investors, all of this. And it's about adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? Like, we're not in control of anything except how we respond to the world
Right,
around us.
yeah.
So it was just a huge moment of learning to be flexible.
I want to zoom into the first moments when you decided to transform from actor to businessman, and what steps did you take, or what was it?
Something that was curious is that I didn't realize until I started building this coaching business is that my entire life I've always been an entrepreneur.
Okay.
But growing up in the artistic world, the artistic community, no one ever used that language, right? So I really wish I would have known that like a long time ago, because it would have allowed me to approach my business, which was my acting business. It was just me, but it would have allowed me to approach that in a very different way. But when I had this opportunity with the guys from Germany, and they said, you're good at this, you should do more of this, you should start your own business. I thought, okay, but like I had no idea where to start. So there was a guy that had sent me a message on the platform where I taught English.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of violating the terms of the website, and he was like emailing teachers on there because he was trying to sell them a program.
Right.
But it worked. And I hired this guy. He was a business coach, and basically he was helping online English teachers create a program and move from session-based classes to program-based courses. And so I designed, I worked with him in a model, and I was able to take my entire acting and directing background and about communicating and turn that into a program that I've been teaching for almost 6 years now for non-native English speaking industry professionals. And just because of Bits and Pretzels, that was the lead into the startup world and tech and innovation and everything. So yeah, I hired a coach. I asked for help, and then launched the business. And I was a part of like a teachers turned entrepreneur WhatsApp group, and we had a mastermind that we met like once a week. And
Right. Oh, the masterminds are great. Yeah, because I guess like you wouldn't know how to charge even like you should coach whatever, and it's like, okay, where do I start? Like, do I need to have a program? Do I need that? How do I charge this guy in Germany? Do I need to have a company? Or I guess all those questions. Like,
I still have those questions. Yeah. I still have those, because in acting school, when I was in acting school, they don't teach you that, none of that. And so it was a lot of the cool thing was to go. I was making maybe $20 an hour, and I was living in New York City, so like that's nothing. But from teaching English classes, so I was able to up my price by turning it into this program and becoming a niche teacher. But that was from the coach. Like, I had never thought of this switch, but now I've just learned a lot on my own.
Did he have like the storytelling skills that you did you teach him something back?
Yes.
Yeah. So you kind of like grew a partnership there. Do you still work with that guy?
No, that was, I just used him. Ago? We were together for, I think, maybe about a year. I remember sitting in, what's the name of the La Panera Rosa?
Pantera?
Sí.
The Panther?
No. There's a confiteria with that name.
Sí.
But it used to be on Punta del Este.
Uh-huh.
No, there was one in Ciudad Vieja, but they closed it.
I just remember having a coaching session with him sitting in Punta del Este. I don't know why I remember that, but yeah, I worked with him for about 9 months to a year. And then once the program was up and running with the funnel and all this stuff, I was like a little bird set free.
That's nice. It's like a win-win situation.
In relation to the coaching, right? We talk about that in the Endeavor event, the importance of the coaching in the life of people and how in the transformative potential that it has. Can you? What was the role of coaching in your life?
Before
and now?
I think back about some of my teachers when I was in graduate school. For anyone who's listening or watching, I went to graduate school in Alabama. And the program that I went to was from the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, that's what we say. But the actual like learning was in a different city, in a city called Montgomery. And it's really cool because Montgomery, Alabama is where the civil rights movement in the United States started. It's like where Martin Luther King, his church was there. Okay. They marched across the bridge in Selma, which is near. Mm-hmm. So it was a really wild, very wild place. And my classes were at the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. Okay. And if you know anything about the United States, Alabama and Shakespeare are two things I would never, ever put together. But that's what my training was. We studied in the theater. It was more like an apprenticeship, you know? Mm-hmm. And so my teachers were members of the acting company, plus all the professional actors they brought from New York into Alabama. And those were my mentors. I would just sit there, like how the stage was up here, and there was a exit in the front of the stage that goes down a ramp underneath the audience. And I would just stand there and watch those actors and just take notes and just visually watch them, and just that was my mentors in a sense. And there were actors that were also open to having conversations with you and things like that. And then it's funny now because I'm mentoring all the time now. I coach and I do all different kinds of things, but I'm a mentor for Endeavor. And that started here in Uruguay. That was the first Endeavor office that I started with. And so I think that I've really learned from, maybe not in a formal way, but I've just learned from the random people that I have met in my life, or people that you see that are doing other things and you just watch. Yeah. One of the greatest responsibilities of an actor is to observe. An actor's job is to recreate human life as honestly and authentically as humanly possible. And that's just about observing human life. And so I think that has been like a mentor in a way of, I've always just watched people No matter where, I mean, I've traveled all over the world, and no matter where I am, if I can understand the language or not, you can still understand what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, so you really start to understand that everyone around you is kind of a mentor in a way, if you look at it. But I've never really had any official mentors. It's just always kind of been absorbing, like a sponge. That's what I say. I'm a sponge.
Yeah, it's usually hard to find the right mentor as well. Like, people are always busy. You have to be like very insisting to get the right mentor to pay attention to you. And you also have to dedicate time, I guess. I'm kind of the same. Like, I don't have like a real mentor, but there's some people that I consider my mentors just by like letting me watch them. So
it's also your peers, you know, like
yeah.
I've had there was a whole group of us I mentioned earlier of these teachers turned entrepreneurs. And so we were just asking each other questions or like learning from their mistakes or their successes. Right. And, you know, there's one woman that I'm now a partner in her business because she's brought in other people, and we started with the same coach like 6 years ago. So like, that's like a mentor too. I get to watch what she's doing and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Probably has the same questions and everything. Yeah. It's more like that's why the mastermind groups are amazing.
So helpful.
Yeah.
I believe it's important, like one component that or value that a person needs to have is that growth mindset. I don't think everybody has it, like, you know, like you stick to the old habits that are hard to break. So I think that's something that needs to be there, like being willing to learn from everybody. But yeah, again, not everybody has it. And then the environment, right? If you are put in the right environment, you're gonna absorb by osmosis. Let's go.
Yeah.
And the other is when is the growth in danger, right? When can you prevent that from the stagnation to occur? That's time when you need to change environments, maybe. And that's not always easy because you stuck there, you have roots.
I guess like places like Endeavor and all of the other stuff, like they help you.
Yeah.
I don't know that very much, but I'm guessing that a lot of entrepreneurs like go by there and you get to know them and kind of learn from them too. Do you, if we are done talking about your history, I wanna talk about a blog post that I stole the title from your blog.
Oh God!
Because you had one that was like, what can entrepreneurs learn from actors? Do you want to talk about that?
Gosh, I could talk about it forever. I'm writing this keynote, which is kind of based on that a little bit, but I'm actually adding my digital nomad life, my traveling life into all that. What I've discovered I coach a lot of different people, but I've coached a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of founders. And what I've learned in the last almost 6 years of doing this, that the entrepreneur's life and the actor's life, they're really not that different.
Okay.
And it's so funny because when I first started coaching in that environment, I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I think that's something very familiar to founders.
Yeah.
I had a lot of imposter syndrome because I thought, I'm an actor from New York. I don't know what you're talking about, literally. Like
speaking Spanish.
And then you put it in a different language, and I'm like, right? But I don't have that vocabulary in English, let alone in another language. And so I think there's that imposter syndrome is there. But I used to think my life as an actor in the entertainment industry and the rest of the business world, and we could get more specific in terms of industries within ecosystems, I really thought they couldn't be any more different. And the more I've lived in these ecosystems and coached all these different kinds of people, I realized, that it's the same thing. I was just writing about this morning. It's funny that you asked me this because there's one thing about in acting, you have audition after audition after audition after audition. And sometimes it's the same material, but most of the time it's not. But that's a pitch. Mm-hmm. That's a founder pitching.
Yeah.
And we as actors, we get told no all the time. So do founders when they're fundraising. No, no, no. Or you just don't get a response. They just literally ghost you.
Yeah.
You know? So it's really about understanding rejection. How do you deal with rejection? How do you not take it personally? How do you learn from it and grow from it? What do you do with it? Rather than taking it as like it has something to do about your success level, your worth as a human. So those are two things. It's also about like communicating yourself authentically. Mm-hmm. Something that I'm writing about is, oh my God, I was in New York for like 10 years, but I also lived in Chicago. I lived in Los Angeles. So those are the three major markets for acting in the US. And there is so much about pushing. And I know that founders, they've got to push their ideas out there. They've got to constantly be networking. Mm-hmm. But same with actors. We always were writing letters. We're sending things. This was before, this was 15 years ago. Mm. But this was like sending things in the mail and constantly going to classes and workshops and networking events. It's all the same. Yeah. It's the same thing as what founders are doing. But it's really about what I learned is the harder you, whether you're an actor or an entrepreneur, the harder you push something, you're actually kind of pushing it away from you. Mm. Okay. And the harder that you're trying to figure out what that person wants you to be, not your product, but you as the spokesperson, you as the face of your brand. As an actor, I literally was the face of my brand. A CEO in any startup is the face of the brand, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. And so being able to authentically be and not try to be anything else. It caused me so much, whatever this is, when I was an actor and also when I started this coaching business. And now in the last year, I just have finally kind of discovered that I'm like, no, I'm just going to do me. And because that's the truest thing that I can do, and anything else is false, and people can smell false, they can smell inauthenticity. That's the word.
Whatever the opposite of authentic.
Yeah. Not authentic.
No, because there's something about like being aggressive, like in English, right? Pushing could mean two different things. Like it could mean like be insisting a lot, like okay, do a pitch after another pitch, but also like what you were saying, like trying to figure out what the other person wants to hear instead of like just saying what you have. There's sort of like a balance there, right? Because it could be the same thing. Like if you keep going, like you can. It's like managing frustration is also like part of this, right? Like not getting pissed when someone says no. Yeah, you were talking about like handling rejection. That could be it. Is this imposter syndrome, like, would you say it's like the most common thing about entrepreneurs when pitching or no?
In terms of struggles that they have?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's the most.
Okay.
Common, yes. But I think it's storytelling. I think that's probably the most common struggle that I see, is that something I've learned over the years of doing this coaching that I didn't understand, that they call the skills that I learned as an actor, a director, but also working 15 years in a restaurant. They call those skills soft skills.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I never realized until I started coaching a lot of people that never had a theater class in their life or something like this, or a public speaking class. I've traveled all over the place, and I remember I was in Germany once and they told me, we don't have this in our scholastic, in our schools.
Yeah.
She said, "You're doing this right in the US." I said, "What? Everybody doesn't have access to this information?" I mean, I've been an actor since I was a kid. So this is just something that's been like in mi sangre, you know? So I didn't realize that not everybody knew this or had access to this or like understood even what it was. And so storytelling, I break it into two categories. One, it's the structure. It's the actual words. It's how you're describing what you're doing, the metaphors that you use, the analogies, the stories you tell, the statistics, the data. Dios mío. But those kinds of things, that's storytelling. But the other part of it is how you're telling the story, which is acting. It's your voice, your body, and your emotions. So that information, I think, actually is the thing I see the most, that people don't understand how to communicate about what they're doing. And it's not a one size fits all thing. You have to have a different pitch for this audience, for this audience, for this audience, for that situation. If you just start talking to an angel investor that has no idea about what you do, and you're using the language from your industry, your ecosystem, they're not going to understand you.
Right.
Especially, I've worked with so many different kinds of people that are doing stuff really high level. How do you interpret that? How do you translate that to all different kinds of audiences? So I think it's storytelling. I think that's probably the thing I see the most.
It's cool that you put it that way, because we like what we say at the office every day is like so let's explain the situation. We have a guy in Europe that is not very technical, but is in charge of us having doing the right work, and it's usually that what happens. Watch
out! This episode he will watch it.
Oh yeah, he can watch it because he usually doesn't, because it's in Spanish.
Hey,
so.
Hi, Fred.
It's a very high end thing that we're doing. So we always have the challenge to explain him in plain words what it means that we're doing. It's always a challenge because there are many moving parts and so. What do you mean about the statistics? I got caught on that.
That's part of the structure.
It's part of the things that you say. Is that what you're saying? When you are trying to explain something all the content, is that what you were saying?
Data is part of the storytelling structure.
Right.
For sure.
And then how you communicate that.
So it's not only what you say, but also how you say it. I thought it was something special about statistics that had to do with content. Or, I don't know.
It kind of does in a sense. It's what statistics are you? I mean, I think founders actually have a much better handle on this part. Okay. Because they, from the industries or from mentors or classes or something that they're taking or other people they're listening to, they might have a better idea of what statistics tell the right message. Right? Because statistics tell a story. Statistics can tell a story, and they should. It's knowing what the investor needs to hear, what they're looking for, right? And then how you're going to use, which statistics are you going to use to tell that particular story? That's one, just structure. But then I do this whole thing where I talk about, I learned this from Shakespeare.
Okay.
And it's a term, I don't know if he made it. I don't think he did. But I think this is something I call emotionally charged language. They are words that are emotional already, that are just waiting for you to fill them with how you feel, right? That's poetry. It's Shakespeare. But you can do it with statistics too. So it's one thing to have the right statistic to tell the story of your growth, of your expertise, whatever it might be, the market. But the other is, how do you talk about those statistics? What I usually hear is, we could hear something like, there's 50% of this, and we have 2.53, and everything just kind of sounds like this, and it's all the same, and there's all this. This sounds, you're laughing because you know it's familiar, right?
Yeah.
But you can make numbers, tech talk, emotional. So like if you're really proud of a 2.5% growth or something like this, or that applies to your main message of creating trust, or to showing a market fit, or to showing the potential of something, you could change it from, we expecting a 2.5% growth in Q4 this year, as opposed to now we're expecting a 2.5% growth or 2.5% growth. There's so many different things that you can do with the statistics to make them pop, to make them appealing, so that even someone who might not know, 2.5 sounds low, but if you make it sound like it's 255, right? It's a 2.5. It's almost double, over double. I'm really bad at math. But there's a way that you can use emotions within numbers and technical talk to be a part of your message, to be a part of the storytelling. That's storytelling.
Right.
It's funny because recently, over the last maybe 1 year, it was really recently, that I came to the conclusion that the storytelling is really valuable. I started hearing that term often. The first time that I heard of it was, I think it was you, where you told me we were building the system from the ground up and start doing diagrams. And yeah, you told me, hey, the storytelling is important, how you tell the sequence of events. But also recently, for example, I discovered this is kind of a therapy called narrative therapy, and it helps the person by reconstructing their internal narrative, and it puts the value on how you tell to yourself those things. That one point, and another is what you told me in Endeavor, like everybody can do the same thing, but everybody will do it in different ways, and that's the pearl, like so
yes,
it's interesting to me.
Storytelling, like it's something that maybe it's a little bit into everything, right? Because now that you're saying the engineering part of storytelling wasn't like really what I was saying that time wasn't really like, hey, let's do this diagram so it tells a story. It's more like, if we tell a story while we design the system, it's gonna make sense, because we're gonna know when it starts, what it does first, what it does then, and how it ends. So I guess, have you ever thought about like what storytelling can do, like in like outside of communications? Like does that like apply to anything else in I guess in life it does, like if you have to approach someone or some situation, I guess like you could do it that way. But have you ever thought about like how does that transcend like communications?
I think about it all the time. We were sitting at Endeavor the other day, and it's something, when I was an actor, I can't just go sit in the theater or in a movie and just let myself relax, right? I'm always watching the performances. And now it's the same thing when I go to conferences, I'm listening to panels. I do listen, but I'm always watching the other story, which is the nonverbal communication, their posture, the way that they speak, the emotions or the lack of emotions that are there. But I also think about, it's curious you asked me that question, because it also works in like networking. In that, one, how do you tell your story quickly? How do you tell it in an engaging way that's going to make you memorable? But also, it makes you leave an impression. And I always like, if there's like a great story that happens and you're like some weird thing that happened or some fantastic thing, and like, let's say it happened to me and you, and we want to tell these guys, and you start telling the story, but you start with like the punchline or the, you know what I mean? You start with like the major event. And I'm like, right? Yeah. No, there's all these details and structure that get you to that thing. There's a guy I know from Argentina. He said this about me once, that I love talking to Chris because Every time I talk to Chris, no matter what it is, about him getting a haircut or him crossing the street or him drinking a coffee, he makes it feel like a movie. He makes it feel like it's the most important event that's ever happened. And I said, well, thanks. That's kind of cool. Sometimes the movie is very long and I need to get to the point faster, but I really think that leaves a subconscious impression on somebody else, because they think, I like being around this person. I like listening to that person. I like that person makes me feel a certain way. And that is a huge influential thing in terms of, I know that a lot of investors, obviously they need a financial trust, but they also need personal trust, personality trust. And if you're making someone feel like they're your friend, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a friend, but that you trust them. That's a whole other level. Like, it's this under level of entrepreneurialism, I think. Yeah. And that's storytelling. It's all storytelling.
If you can make them feel like they're building that story with you, or
exactly.
or maybe like being part of that story somehow, like that's engaging as well. Like, yeah, I'm building this, I'm doing this, I started here, and maybe in 5 years I can tell the story where you join and you help me build the next step.
It's some of the most I coach a lot of people for pitch competitions, and I've sat in a lot of pitch competitions, and when people do exactly that, when they get you so excited, you might not even understand everything. I certainly don't. But they're giving you enough information, and they're filling it with their passion, with their emotion, and like you're like, take my money, you know what I mean? Like, I have to be a part of this thing. That is so successful, to like bring in people and get them in 2 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, they have 2 minutes to pitch this thing. That is storytelling. But then also what you're talking about in terms of visuals, like if you have some like product that you've got to explain, like pictures or animations, or that's storytelling. It's all storytelling. And it's like, how are you going to make it make sense?
Right. Have you like thought that, of course, to me right now, based on what you say about the transcendental part of storytelling, have you ever thought that there are stories inside stories? For example, I was reading a book. It was a political book, and in relation to the United States parties, and it explains the mentality, the values of each, the Democrats and who are the others, the
Republicans.
The Republicans, based conservative and progressive, based on storytelling, and it was like, right. Now I understand, and you kind of, and that those stories are implicit in people's mind, and they don't even know. And it was like really shocking how many stories are we living that we are not aware of. Right.
It's the narrative that we're told,
or
that we've learned,
and
then sometimes you don't even realize that narrative maybe isn't totally true.
Correct.
Right, or all the way informed. If you think about, I know I love talking about storytelling, but if you think about it, I think that storytelling is probably one of the oldest existing things that we have as humans. If you think about the cave people, right? Before they might have even had a language, like it was all verbal storytelling. And now, of course, stories, you can have, story in a book or a movie. We storyboard for advertisements, commercials, right? Creating a slide deck, whatever. But like, storytelling is original. Like that is the only thing. It's like as old as fire.
And it's not even. I love to take my guests' topics and make them like esoteric and like dark.
Okay.
I guess it's not even like humans either. Like when we say like using stories for production, let's say for work, I think about like bees. They when this, I don't know much about bees, but like I think I know that when they find like some flower they can use for whatever they do, like they come back to the hive and they like kind of dance. They're telling a story basically. This is where, so it's not just humans that like storytelling seems to be part of like some very foundational fabric of the universe somehow there.
Okay.
It's something I talk about all the time with communication and storytelling, that there's, like we said, the structure, but then there's like the how are you gonna, there's the structure, which is the what you're talking about, and then the other part is how you're gonna talk about it. Your voice, your body, and your emotions. And you think about animals, you think about, I used to work, let's talk about dogs for a second. You're talking about bees, I'm gonna talk about dogs.
All right.
And I know a lot about dogs because I lived in Chicago and I worked at a doggy daycare. I don't know if you have that here. Does that exist? It's like
there's one, yeah.
They bath them and
no, it's like daycare. It's like
they play together, like they just stay there.
It's like school.
There's one in front, you know the theater en Andes y enfrente creo que hay una.
Hay uno.
I think they're.
It's like kindergarten for dogs.
Yeah.
And I worked there.
you got to teach them things.
It was the best job I ever had. But it was, I drove the pet taxi. So I would go to these people's houses, park the car outside, go inside, get the dog, put him in the back, and I took them to school. And then they were there all day, and we took them home. Look, I learned so much about communication from working at a dog daycare. But what you're saying is like, and I coach this, it's really important the words that come out of your mouth. One, whatever they are on the page or your script or your deck, and then also the clarity of it coming out of your mouth. But also there's a statistic that 92% of communication is actually non-verbal. So the words are so important, and the clarity, obviously we need that, but there's a whole other conversation underneath or on the outside, right? But if you think about body language, like dogs, like they move themselves, their hair goes up, they don't look each, there's a whole communication. And then there's emotions. So like if we were in this room, we're in this room right now, but like if something happened that was dangerous, or like you got scared or something, or and you could change the chemistry of the room. Yeah. That's something that I saw that actor who spoke, the Argentino that spoke at Endeavor the other day, he did that. Oh man, I was studying him. He was great.
The last guy at the first section? No?
Third one?
He was the last one in the first speaker
section.
Spouse. He was great. But people don't realize what he's doing. Like, one, he's using all of these techniques, right? Voice, body. But then there's the emotional part to it. And that is another part of storytelling. It's just underneath. It's what the bees are doing. Hey, and they know, right? Or dogs know, let's look out. Or it's all subtle.
What I liked about that talk was that he had this character in his story, so Ali or something. And the first story he told was like how that guy died in the streets. But then on the second part, he kept using the name. It was like, did he forget that he just told us like that he died? But the emotional effect was still there, because like he was telling another like more like exciting story about this guy who he could help and who kind of made it, and it was a good strategy. I don't know if he forgot by accident. I guess not. You know what I mean? Like he was talking about a guy who died in the street. He was called Ali, whatever, and then he told another story who was like more wholesome, like happy story about this guy who also lived in the street.
Yeah.
That he ended up like being like some kind of, I think it was an actor actually. And he was also called Ali, but he never introduced him, so it had this effect. I like that one very much.
That the second story.
Huh?
That was the second story.
Yeah, that was the second story.
The kid that cried because when they applaud, they remember that
one.
Okay, yeah.
And another fun fact about bees that I got from this guy Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins?
Yeah, because he got like this concept from bees where like I think he said something like, if bees find something, I don't know if it's flowers or whatever, I really like don't know bees, but like if they find like something like very valuable, the intensity of which the dance is so intense that they communicate like the value through like being very, very, very excited in front of other people. So he took that and made it like one of his like core concepts or whatever. Like like B intensity is something that you can hear him talk about. Which at one point like I had it written on my board there, but I erased it. Cool.
I have a. You have
Yeah,
another?
no, go ahead.
No, I have like I want to do like a little experiment. Why not? And just to close or not the storytelling part. Let's say you want to work with a client and this client has an issue about communication. He doesn't do well communicating in front of others, like in front of important people, like investors. After evaluating, if you you can focus on body language, but if you focus on storytelling, right? Where would you start digging into, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
so where do you start? Because I was about to ask the same thing. Like if I wanted to get better at storytelling, where I start? Or where's the? Because I'm more interested in like your experience with entrepreneurs. Like maybe I guess like whatever you had like on your program is based on what they do and need. But what has been like your the first thing that you feel like you need to teach entrepreneurs when they come to you for like storytelling lessons?
Honestly, it's the same thing that a new actor learns.
Okay.
The program that I have is basically acting 101 for the non-artist, or acting 101 for entrepreneurs. Let's just say it that way. And it goes back to the fundamental core of communication is your voice. It's how to understand the mechanics of your voice, to create sound, to create clarity, right? It has to start there. So that's what I start with first is communication, your voice, your body, your emotions. And then with that, I start pairing it with, so for example, in my program, if we're studying the voice, we learn about the voice because I used to be a teacher. So I'm a coach and a teacher. So it's like my program is half coaching and half teaching and half coaching. So it's like, let's learn this concept and now let's apply it to whatever you're working on. Your pitch, you have a keynote, you're going to be on a panel, you're moderating, whatever it could be. So one is about like how you're doing it, and the other is understanding structure. It's really about understanding what writers do. Like if you think about the easiest thing I could say, what movie are you watching? What TV show are you watching? What book are you reading that you can't put down? Or why do you keep binging? That term.
Yeah.
Why do you keep binging that show? Really think about it. Or what is this person that you like to hang out with, or somebody like Tony Robbins, or somebody like, I don't know, an inspirational person? Get curious. I can answer this much quicker. Awareness. Okay. It's just about being aware of how people communicate and then understanding how you communicate. That is one thing about, there's the technical aspects of it, but then it's like the personality aspect of it. How are you going to, if we all are auditioning for a play and they give you the same monologue as me, as you, we're all going to do that monologue different because we're different people with different experiences, with different voices, right? We're going to express ourselves differently. So the first part is like understanding what is communication, right, on a technical level, and then how do you communicate,
right? You
personally. That is a huge thing, but then that's like the doing, if that makes sense. But then like on a page, or like when I look at decks, like it's actually reminding me of a session I did a couple years ago here in Uruguay. There was a guy that was doing his pitch and he had his deck on the screen, and I was like, what? I'm so confused. But it wasn't the product I was confused about. It's like he was talking about this red book. This red book is Aquí no hay reglas, right? It's about Netflix and then did I tell you this bird I saw on my way here, that there was this thing, and he started talking about this random thing. I was like, well, what happened to the book? Right? And so it's understanding that in communication, whether you're on a date or you're pitching to an investor, that you're the guide. And you have to make sure that from point to point, I'm following you.
Right.
Right? It's the same thing if you're reading a book. It's like it has a structure. And if it goes back in time, or if it goes into the future, or if there's a new location, we have to follow that. One of the biggest things that no one understands or no one gets, whether it's in the theater, Netflix, movies, or a pitch, transitions are probably one of the hardest things to do and one of the most important things. How do you connect this to this? And when it's like, you get lost, people get lost. It's the same thing if I'm walking in a path in el bosque and the path is like clear. Oh, I go this way. But then if you haven't, I don't know where this metaphor is coming from, but this is where, but like if it's not,
covered in leaves, maybe like
then you're like, I don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as a pitch, right? We have to understand this connects to this, which connects to this. You're the guide. You're the tour guide of your business.
Right.
And that's how I look at it.
Got it.
It feels weird to transitions from time to time, because I feel it like when I'm talking to somebody, like I'm talking about something, and then I do this all the time. You know that. I'm talking about something, and then I think of a metaphor or something to explain it better. So I had to stop saying what I'm saying and say like, hey, it's like, follow me here. It's like I found this other way of telling you this. Let me start talking about this other thing. Like that glue in there is like it's always uncomfortable, because you have to. I figured out that the best way to do it was like to stop talking, like, and have a pause and say, okay, let me say this other thing. Sometimes it feels like I lost track of what I was saying, but I'm actually thinking about like something else. And I wanted to ask you, because the other thing that you just said, it reminded me about like Fede and I are both doing.
Did you just see what happened though?
No.
Transition.
You transitioned, and he and I both took a sip of our coffee.
Okay. I didn't realize.
Did you notice that you took a sip of your coffee?
Yeah, but
right?
Yeah.
But
So
that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Don't lose your train of thought.
like
No.
But like, as a director, when I sit in the back of a theater and we're having the first audiences in the show, I watch the actors and I watch the audience.
Right.
And you've got the transitions right when people take a drink of coffee or everybody starts doing this in their chair at the same moment.
Like
you just changed the conversation, and so we both were like, okay.
So you're getting ready for the next thing that I'm gonna say. So, you said about like one of the things that you listed was emotions, and there's like we're both taking singing classes, different teachers, not related, but being like emotionally there is very important for singing as well, because like if you're down or like you're not like in the mood for singing, like you can easily like waste an hour of a teacher's time. So I wonder if there's any technique to like, because I know I used to date an actor, and she would tell me that actress actually is it?
It's both.
That she could cry like anytime, because she was trained to cry like whenever she was called to cry, whenever, like on the stage or anywhere. Kind of suspicious there, but but I mean, she kind of like tipped me into like, okay, there's a way to handle your emotions in a way that you could like, maybe if you're not in the mood to sing, you can, because at some point you're gonna have to sing, like even if like something happened and you have an appointment at like 7 p.m. and you have to go on stage and sing, like I don't think have you been taught how to like
cry?
cry on command? But I wonder if there's any technique that you could teach us about, like okay, how can we get in the mood for singing anytime that we wanted to?
There is I love talking about this. There's a TED Talk that I share with everybody. Actually, one of my clients, before I had the business, like when the German guys contacted me, there were 3 other people on the language platform I used to work on that contacted me for the same thing. It wasn't English lessons. They were looking for basically communication, public speaking lessons. And then the Germans, this was all happening at the same time. It was very weird. But he actually shared this TED Talk with me that I share with everybody. It's by a woman named Vanessa Van Edwards. She's from the US. She's a communication coach and a data scientist, and she also studies human behavior. Okay. She's a behavioral scientist as well. And the TED Talk is called "You Are Contagious." And she literally, when I watched this, from my background of being on stage or in a theater like my entire life, she put words to sensations and feelings and things that I had experienced my whole life, whether I was on stage acting or in the audience watching, where you feel the temperature in the room change.
Oh.
You feel my favorite things that happen in theater or in a movie is when something is so funny and you're laughing and everybody's like engaged, and then something happens and you're like, ooh, right? The story changes and something really dramatic happens, but it happens so fast, but you still have a smile on your face. You're like, oh God, why am I still smiling, right? Like that is really skillful. That's skillful writing, but it's skillful performance. And what I walk people through, and I think this is the piece of communication that is missing the most that I see. 1, clear speech. 2, body language. But 3 is the lack of emotions. How do you feel about what you're talking about? Because if you're bored, I'm bored. If you're excited, I'm excited. I do this activity. What's the name of the movie in Spanish? In English, it's Despicable Me with the little minions.
Mi villano favorito.
¿Eso?
Yes.
¿Cómo es?
Mi villano favorito.
Eso. And they have like that. Those little guys, right? I could tell you guys a sad story and a happy story in Minions. And you would be happy and you would be sad.
Yeah.
As long as it's connected to real, true, authentic emotions, right? We all know how to do this. It's just no one was trained except actors. So to your question, what I tell people all the time, I get nervous. I still get nervous. I have 2 degrees in acting. I'm a public speaking coach, and I'm a public speaker, and I still get nervous. Last year, I was giving a presentation in Germany at the conference that I started all this. So it's like a familiar place. I'm talking about public speaking and warming up your voice. I mean, I've talked about this for 20 years, right? I was getting nervous. Imposter syndrome hit in.
Wow.
My old anxiety came back.
Oh no.
I really wanted to do well, so that was getting on me. And I remember I was in the speaker's lounge before the talk. I don't even have anything written because I know this like the back of my hands, right? And I was like walking back and forth in the speaker's lounge, and the anxiety was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I went, whoa, stop. What's happening right now? This is a conversation I'm literally having with myself in the corner. And I stopped myself and I said, whoa, what do you want to do right now? Why are you here? What do you want to share? Not only the content, but how do you want to feel? Me personally. And also, what do I want other people to feel? Do I want them to feel my nervous energy? Do I want them to feel? Do I want to feel my nervous energy? Do I want to feel this self-doubt? Do I want to feel this like I'm not good enough? No. I want to be grateful for this opportunity. I want to be celebrating the fact that I used to be an actor in New York City, and now I'm about to like a struggling actor in New York City, and now I'm about to walk on stage in front of a couple hundred people in Germany and talk about acting. What an opportunity, and get paid for it, you know? Like, so I was able to switch the emotion. I was able to connect to something different, and then I brought that into the room. And so that is contagious. That is how you can, if you're not having the energy of something, you stop and you connect to a moment in your life where you had a lot of energy, or you connect to why, right? What excites you about this? Why are you passionate about this? And there's a little, in the TED Talk, there's literal chemical reactions that happen that go out, and then you feel what I'm feeling, and you feel what I'm feeling, and that's the secret to public speaking.
And at the same time, you did not only change the emotion, but you changed the story you were living at the moment. That was what we say in we were living stories inside stories.
When we started all this and we were talking about improv, I say life's an improv, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing that we are in control of in this world ever is how we react to the world around us. We are in control of that. We're not in control of anything else. How people are going to react, what are they going to think about us? Fuck it. Can I curse on this thing? Like,
Yeah.
right? It's like, I just gotten to a point where I want to express myself authentically. And if that's something that you enjoy, great. And if it's something you don't enjoy, great. There will be something else you will enjoy. I don't like this kind of ice cream. You know what I mean? It's like, but it really is going back to that, what I just talked about. Being in control of the story that you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Physically, right? Like I talk about this, like if I were to do this whole thing like this is a different, your body is telling yourself something. But emotionally, it's like, do you know the play Hamlet, the Shakespeare play Hamlet?
I know it by name.
To be or not to be, that one?
Yeah.
Like, ser o no ser.
It's really famous, but yeah, I don't know the whole story.
It's a very sad play. It's very sad. The play starts with Hamlet. I did this play twice. They say for an actor, it's the hardest role an actor will ever play. It is very challenging, very challenging.
Okay.
But the play starts, the very first scene of the play, well, the very first scene is you see the ghost of Hamlet's father appear, because right before the play has begun, his father has died. And his father has been murdered. That's where I started the play, my character. And we were doing this play at like 10 o'clock in the morning for schools. We were also doing it at night, you know. Putting myself in that emotional moment of my father has died at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Like that takes a lot of work. You can't just do that. So I would literally warm up my body, my voice and everything, because I was going to be speaking. But emotionally, I used music. I tell this all the time. There was a German guy I coached. I was like, you have trouble like really? I said, what kind of music do you listen to? He said, I love AC/DC. I said,
Right.
Why? Because it's like got so much energy and there's and I said, great. Tomorrow when you pitch, I want you to listen to AC/DC before you go on stage.
Right.
And take that on there. And he did, and he used it, because use whatever, you know, but that's what I had to do for Hamlet. I had to think of some of the worst things in the world to put me in that emotional mindset. It's the same thing for entrepreneurs, right? It's the same thing. Just put yourself in how you want to feel while you're talking about your idea, your product, or whatever, your team. That's it.
I'll use that.
Of course.
Also, like getting sad at 10 a.m. is like you have to untrain yourself. Like you've been like trying to get pumped about the day for like years, and then you have to, okay, now I have to be sad.
I tell people, if we're talking about pitches in a competition, for example, that's very different than a pitch for like an investor, whether it's online or
Right.
Argumentative competition.
but like You mean like a argumentative?
No, you mentioned pitch competition. That's how
It's
is
just
that?
the presentation, right?
Yeah, it's just like the format, right? As opposed to I have a scheduled Zoom meeting with an investor or a coffee meeting with an investor. You're going to go into more detail. There's less rules.
Okay.
But in a pitch competition, when there's rules and like, it should feel like a roller coaster. It should feel like the most incredible thing that I've ever heard, because that makes it stand out. And then if you have all of the details and the statistics and the data and the team and the go-to-market, all that to support it, it's like, why would you not win?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not about winning, but you stand out, right? That's how you do it.
All right.
Amazing.
We kind of went over everything that I had written down to ask you. So, do you want to know anything else, Fed? Do you want to talk about anything else?
We could. But I think I have done the same.
All right. So, thank you. We'll
pleasure.
see you when? Next Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah. Will you be around Uruguay for long after that? Or
No, I'm
to go?
leaving. We're doing the workshop on Thursday. Friday morning, I'm leaving to go to Villa Serrana for the weekend.
Really?
I go there with
You
some
discovered
friends
that?
of mine.
I've heard about that place like a bunch of times now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Something's
beautiful.
telling me that I should go.
It's
Connection
beautiful.
with nature.
Yeah. We just went to the cabin and an Airbnb cabin with a good fireplace, and I just go there with some friends and turn the phone off and just disconnect.
Perfect.
And then we come back like on a Sunday, and then the next Monday I'm leaving to go back to Brazil.
Okay.
I just started a. Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Something I've learned about my life as not just an actor, but as a traveler. I've been living without a home for over 5.5 years. Wow. Moving in and out of so many different cultures. And I see this woman's name, Erin Mayer. She has a book that's called The Culture Map.
Yep.
You know it?
Yeah, it's in the intro for
Is it
this
in the
one.
intro?
Yeah, I think
It's so
they
good.
did it together because she wrote that.
That's
other
in my
book.
reading list.
It's such a nerdy book.
Okay.
And I love it. Like, it's about communication. But I really have learned about adaptability and about traveling. And I just left Rio. I've been living in Brazil for the last 4.5 months. And I just left last Thursday to go travel and work and all these conferences. And I actually don't know when it's going to stop.
Right.
I think that I just left my home, which is a rented Airbnb. And I don't know when I'm going to have another like home, maybe for like 8 months.
Oh.
And I think about a founder's journey too, and all that chaos and all the other things about life. Like when you have no foundation, when you're feeling like you have no foundation, when you're nervous or you're losing it, right? Something you asked me earlier, I wanted to say, and it's just something that's really on my mind in terms of communicating and in terms of staying authentic to yourself. When things get overwhelming, when you feel like you don't have a home, literally or physically, when you feel like you're lost, when you feel like you're not communicating the way you want, when you're not getting the deals you want or making the progress that you want, I always just go, stop. And just go, why am I doing this? Push the computer away, take a step back, sit with yourself and go, why am I doing this? Because that takes you back to, we talked about structure, we talked about how you're telling the story, but it goes back to like, what's the purpose of this? What's the why? Because that's the fire, that's the passion of why you created what you're doing in the first place. And if we get off of that path, just like a story, it's not going to make sense anymore to you, let alone other people. So it's something I'm focusing on myself, is like, why am I doing this? And so I thank you for this opportunity, because what I have learned is that not everybody has access to this information that I've had since I was a kid.
Right.
And my why is to really be able to share that with other people so that they can understand and be aware of communication, and so that they can also connect to themselves and their why and express that authentically. Because I think when you have clear communication paired with that passionate why, that's when you start to make ripple effects in the world and everyone you're talking to. And it's something I do. I come back to my own self to share that, and I just share that with all founders, because I know that what my journey has been like and the journey of founders that I've coached, it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. And if we lose that connection to the why, then you lost the rest of it, you know?
Right, yeah.
So if you're able to clearly communicate that, articulate that, and communicate it from here, that's how you can really make an impact in the world.
Amazing.
All right. That sounds like the best way to end it. All right. So thank you again. Like,
thank you.
Really, for us, it's like listening to you is also like something that we have to like thank you for. I really appreciate it. Like every time somebody comes with a very different perspective, it's nice. It's mind opening for sure. And you really have like a very different background from like anybody that I get to talk in a daily basis. So it gives me a lot. Gives me a lot to think about. So yeah, thank you for coming. We'll see you Thursday.
Thank you, amigo.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Happy to do it.
All right, and thank you to whoever stayed here until the end. Ciao, ciao.